Welcome everyone back to Pommy and Us. Hope we're all doing really well. If you're new around here, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out. I can't thank you enough for the support that you've shown recently. So keep doing that. It really does help the channel. You have no idea how much that means to me. You can become a member of the channel. Link is in the description to do that as well. We do some giveaways. We're going to be doing one soon. So check your notifications. We will be announcing that this afternoon. And we've got a review of another win, 9 in a row. Absolutely crazy. And I want to take just a moment just before we get really into the ins and outs of it, just to see the magnitude of this. It's crazy to think that when we last played this mob, how different the tales were. Like, if you go back to that, round 14 game, times were tough. Do you know what I mean? Times were tough. We were coming into this game 15th, they were 11th. Now it was 15 versus 5. And it's insane. Insane, the turnaround, the mental fortitude, the energy, the teamwork, the commitment, the application, the desire, the never say die attitude. It's insane. It's really, trust me, I have watched a hell of a lot of sports since I was 7 years old, maybe even before, but 7 is like my earliest memories. That's nearly 30 years of watching sport. I can't think of a side that in the space of 10 weeks have gone from basket case to the case. They're them. Absolutely insanity. Absolutely insanity. And let's take a look at the numbers of this win. And it was a real tale of two halves, wasn't it? Carlton were shell-shocked in that first quarter. Gold Coast had done their homework. The Blues looked fumbly. They looked a little bit lethargic at times, it has to be said. Gold Coast played almost champagne football, 10 scoring shots out of 19 from their inside 50s. Their biggest margin in the first quarter. And a big thing here was Carlton, their usual strength became their weakness. And the turnover game, Carlton, very unforced turnovers at times, 27-8 in that first quarter. They looked a little bit shell-shocked. But it needs to be remembered that this is the first time that they conceded 5 goals since the Essendon game. And it felt like it opened up a scar. And I think when you're looking at development in any human being, when habits repeat, it's how the learnings come out. It's where you see the learnings. And people who watch the watch-along will attest, I wasn't genuinely worried. I was pretty good, to be fair. Speaking to Mrs. Pom, who probably watches me watch a game more than you guys and girls do, I really believed. I really believed. And the way they grinded the game back when they weren't at their best is a tale of a tape for me. It's the tale of the tape. It's the show of development. And it's something that's going to make opposition fear us, because this reminds me of the Hawks sides that when I first came over here, the first dynasty, their ability to grind a win when they don't deserve to. Do you know what I mean? And what I mean by that in the nicest way, I'm not downplaying what Carlton is, but they weren't playing good enough football for 4 quarters to warrant winning the game. Do you know what I mean? It needed something else, and they have got that something else. And let's take a look at the numbers. Where we always see the kick handball with this side, 1.56. Kind of the tail of the game, really. Once the Blues, and we'll come on to the big number, once the Blues found that they were a better football side doing what they do, it really came out to show. And their ability to almost be a death by 1,000 cuts side is a real interesting. The tackle was real good. The boys did start to find the tackle, and these numbers went up as Carlton gained ascendancy. They were very lethargic at times. The tackles inside 50, a bit down from last week. The forward press this week, especially in the first half, wasn't quite there. Their ability to commit numbers. But this is an area that I want to be proud of the boys, because That midfield turnover cost us in the first quarter, but they still acquitted themselves to execute the game plan, knowing that it wasn't going well. And that is a sign of a very good football team. The rebound 50 rates, as we'd expect, still very high, bit lower than where we usually see it, but more of credit to Gold Coast than downplayed to Carlton. The marks inside 50, they started to find it, but this is the big number. Their ability to take the game on in the clutches was important, especially when it wasn't quite going their way. The swings of this game at times showed that they were up and against it. They lost the clearance battle. The 50% conversion wasn't great. 25.5% goal creation of their inside 50s. And TPI showing that they were a little bit down over the last 5, which is acceptable. It's interesting, though, that there was a lot of good performances in that. And that is a show to the team. When we see that, we always talk about TPI, the algorithm that I use, that when there is like a couple of goals margin in it, it only requires a little bit of the other team to be up and a little bit of the team to be back. And the way that they negated that through systematic hard work shouldn't be understated. This, for me, was the final test, the final mental hurdle. Can they be jumped on by a team that has had the wood over them, that a lot of people didn't expect them to win? And we've got to be honest with ourselves, there was a lot of negativity. Only look at Twitter and Facebook in the first half. Shows how far they've come mentally. And let's get into the players. Nicky Newman, 31 disposals, 4 tackles, 14 defensive half pressure acts, the 9 intercept possessions, the 11 ground ball gets. Tough as a cat's head. Effort indicator numero uno, that one it is. And he also won that double 50 from Jack Lukosius. He is the wind-up merchant. And finally, we've got a player here that teams don't like playing. He will expose your faux bravado very quickly. He makes players look very foolish. Tricky customer, a man that is basking in confidence at the moment. 3 score launches, 13.7 metres gained. A little bit of a different role here from Nick Newman. If you watch Nick Newman this game, he was the facilitator quite a lot of the times. He was looking to get the chains moving. Very interesting that when Carlton started to gain the monopoly, he was looking on players that weren't quite into the game. And that's showing you a little bit of leadership from him, that he's starting to think about bringing his pals along for the ride. And that is probably a big change in Carlton from that Essendon game. Players trusting each other, players playing as a team. Again, phenomenal disposal efficiency, just short of 84%. The 6 score involvements, and again, under the cosh for a halfback flanker that genuinely has limited contested possessions, got involved. 40% just under the contested possession rate, and arguably one of the best players on the ground. And it seems to be a monotonous conversation about Nick Newman. The guy is doing it almost all the time, really. Let's be honest. He is almost every week featured in this since we've changed the system. And then his mate, Adam Saad, just the 22 disposals, the 2 tackles, the 9 pressure acts, the intercepts. They were really finding a good way to get Swallow to ghost into the forward line. He had an unbelievable game, but he ghosted. The way his intuitive running was insane, right? Now, in the second half, Adam Saad was deployed at trying to cut that ball into him, and he had phenomenal success. The 12 intercept possessions, the 11 ground ball gets. Real show this week that the boys wanted to run it out of the back half of the ground in that second half and not go for the marks. You'll see some phenomenal spoil stats coming up. 16.2 metres gained. Again, this is what we expect from Saad. When he has the ball, he's getting us out of the cosh. 10 rebound 50s. He was genuinely the last line of defence. And again, look at this, 55% contested possession rate. This guy was in the clutches. This guy was the last man standing. The last man sardine. You can write that one. That's for free. Another great game from Saad. Transition is Carlton's key word. And Saad, again, being the man for the moment. Georgie boy, fast becoming, like, honestly, we know I love George. We know I love these 6 out of 10 footballers. The guys that are monotonous with their execution of the basics. And George Hewitt, again, has come into the fore in a game that was tough. 15 contested possessions, the 10 tackles. He was a standard setter. There's a few players in the lines that are standard setters for these gentlemen. And George Hewitt is that guy that looks to be a standard setter. The 3 rebound 50s, and you can see the no score launches. This guy here again, going straight into that facilitator role. The 5 inside 50s, the 4 clearances. Bit more meters gained from him this week. A little bit of a different vibe, the way that Gold Coast set up in the midfield to what Melbourne did. They kind of really didn't go one-on-one with Carlton and tried to force Carlton to do something special and get it on the outside. And his disposal numbers got a little bit higher from that, partly from him taking the game on, also him looking to thread it, right? And this was a different side, and something that we don't expect. There was quite a lot of them loopy handballs over the top as the first wave came in. And George Hewitt was the master negotiator there. 22 pressure acts, 10 ground ball gets as hard as a cat's head, and something you don't often associate with George Hewitt's game, involved in a lot of scoring chains. 6 score involvements from Georgie Boy. Up next, Brodie Kemp. Now, probably an understated game. I've seen a few bits of hate come his way, which does surprise me. Different avenue of a game for Mr. Brodie Kemp this week. And there's going to be some numbers that I want to talk about and make him a little bit smarter than the average bear. 4 marks, 1 intercept mark, 1 contested mark, 100% one-on-one win ratio there, which is really phenomenal, really strong. 9 intercept possessions. So he, again, was looking to come off his man. There was a few times he got caught out, but what is really important to note is I always like to think, condemn them when they do something stupid. Don't condemn them when they're doing the right thing. And in the first quarter, there was a lot of players trying to do the right thing. The execution and the energy and the work rate wasn't quite sinking the mindset. But he is fearless with his ball use. 5 spoils, 16.6 meters gained, real happy medium there. You want to be getting it at least 15 meters away from the shit if you can. 77.8 kicking efficiency. The ground ball gets for a medium-sized guy. Again, real strong. And against some tricky customers. Brodie Kemp was exceptional when the ball hit the deck. And that is a very tough skill to ask. It's kind of boring saying Charlie Curnow's the best player in the league when you've been saying it for 3 years like me. And Charlie Curnow, again, displaying why, in my opinion, there isn't anyone like him in the league. When he got up and about and he broke the door, this is kind of a culture shift to me, where before you've always been wanting Charlie Curnow and Patrick Cripps to put the club on the back. Now, Charlie Curnow is that guy, and Cripps is that guy that's driving the charge. Do you know what I mean? Behind every good general, there is a wicked lieutenant that is on the ground and he's dictating you advancing. Charlie Curnow is that lieutenant at times. 66.6 win percentage. The mark of the beast, and he was a beast in this game. 6 marks, 1 mark on the lead, 3 contested marks, the game-winning mark, 2 marks inside 50, 71.4% accuracy, 9 score involvements, 2 goal assists. He was dishing out dimes as if he'd won the lotto. 6 pressure acts as well. The criticism, if any, which I find bizarre, is his defensive pressure. I'm not too sure why, but still, that is well in the median of all key forwards. 5 goals, 1 behind. Charlie Curnow's a different beast, ladies and gentlemen. It's unfair as measuring him to mere mortals. If we had the spiritual AFL, we could maybe have a fair assessment. He is another kettle of fish, is Charlie Curnow. And when Charlie Curnow is like this, he's built for finals. You guys watching me know I've been on this guy's case for 3 years because I adore the guy. And there is no secret that he's somewhere between my kids and my wife for my love. I absolutely adore Charlie. And Charlie, when he's up and about, the energy lifts. And you know I'm a big advocate of this energy malarkey. Charlie Curnow is energy personified. When he starts to believe it's that Dustin Martin 2017 Richmond finals effect, everyone believes. Do you know what I mean? There was people in the space station having a better day because Charlie did that. Charlie, when he's up and about, he does it. And one facet of his game is he's a moments man. And this is something that we talked about when we were losing. It was about finding them players that understand the moment that they're in. And you look at Charlie Curnow this time last year, where he was guilty of playing on, guilty at times of maybe putting Carlton under the cosh through his own brilliance. The maturity of this guy shouldn't be understated. The maturity and the development in this young man is phenomenal. And the fact that we're going to have him for another 8 years minimum absolutely fills my boots with joy. An absolute revolutionary footballer. And I'm so glad that we can talk about Paddy Dow again. I tell you what, him and Zach Fisher, who are probably playing in the absentia of Chera and Walsh, that probably would have manipulated that halfback again. Insane, his work rate. And you know what, Dow, credit to him. If anyone personifies Carlton's journey, it's this man. He's shut up, he stayed quiet. He's gone and licked his wounds. He's gone and worked on his game. And when we've needed him, boy oh boy, has Paddy Dow stood up. And I feel like a dad at times watching him. There's something that I think only fathers and mothers can understand. When you maybe know they can do it, but you start to lose a bit of faith they can because they've lost faith in themselves. To see them bring it out weekly is something that just warms the cockles. And 10 contested possessions. He hit the contest incredibly hard. 4 tackles, 3 score launches. He looked to get the game going. 3 rebound 50s. The defensive work is the big question mark of Paddy Dow. People look at the wrong stats. They look at disposal efficiency and shit like that with Dow. He's not that type of animal. Do you know what I mean? You've got to create a team that complements each other. And go back and see George Hewitt. No score launches. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't getting the ball from these contested positions and stoppages into goal-scoring points of view. Dow was. Rebound 50s, working hard back end of the ground. 5 inside 50s, and they were penetrating inside 50s as well. Real flat kicks that Charlie could paddle down and Harry could paddle down to the marauding Smalls. 7 clearances, and again, 22.2 metres gained in a game that Carlton at times were hemmed back. Paddy Dow was the one who was like, let's clear this, because the way Gold Coast packed the ball flooded the areas, which was a good tactic against Carlton. Getting it over the top of them and getting it into one-on-ones. Genius football. Paddy Dow is a big part of this win. Whether you like it or not, he is. 7 ground ball gets, hard as a cat head, 7 score involvements, 21 pressure acts. And finally, we've got players coming into the side, making it tough to get back into it. Jacob Wheatering, the wall of Wheatering. Do you know what I mean? If the British had made Hadrian's Wall and named it Wheatering's Wall, the Scottish would have voted for independence because they wouldn't have seen the lands of Blighty for a long time. 8 marks, 4 intercept marks, 2 contested marks, a staggering 80% won in a game where this guy was targeted more than a defector from North Korea. He was literally always under the high ball. And to have that success rate, bravo, Mr. Wheatering, bravo. This guy here is a walk-up start for the All-Australian this year. And it's not even close. It's not even close. Targeted 5 times, only losing once. Insane win rate. 9 intercept possessions, the 4 intercept marks, the 2 contested, the 12 spoils. We talked about Carlton changing their tact and bringing it to ground at times. And this is Wheatering was a big part of that. The 17 metres gained as well with 84.6 by foot. Phenomenal. You've got to compare them. What were they doing with the kick? If you've got a high kicking efficiency and you've got 5 metres gained per disposal, you've been cozying it. This guy was taking the game on. 4 ground ball gets. Again, key forwards, key defenders, putting their head over the ball, risking it all. 1 score involvement. Wheatering was, in that first half, could have been a shite sight worse. Tell you, because we talked about 10 out of 19, the 9 that they didn't score. You're looking at the responsible guy there. Jesus, how bad it could have been. Could have been 60. They would have come back, but that's a hard. J-Mart, it's actually getting boring. Jack, you're boring me being too good. 14 disposals at 78.6 efficiency. When you're playing higher up the ground, it's incredibly important that when you're that conduit, you're hitting and threading balls. 6 marks, again, outlet ball from him. We talked about conduits from midfield to forward when we were rubbish. It's no surprise we've got better that Jack Martin's in there. In everyone's best 22. One of the first names I would suspect that he's selected when fit. The 15 pressure acts, his ability to implement pressure in the confusing part of the ground, I'll call it. 40 to 60 out wide. Carlton are trying to get them to kick along. He is, if they ever make that short kick, trying to lead traffic. He is like a traffic conductor. Traffic conductor, is that the word? Whatever it is. But he's trying to funnel the ball in a certain way. Probably one of the best players in the league in the last 4 weeks of doing that. 6 ground ball gets, again, hard as a cat head. He puts his body over the ball. He sets the standard. 40% goal kicking accuracy. 2 of them misses. One of them that was straight out of bounds. I'd like to see him take them chances. But at the end of the day, the game was so good, I can forgive it. 6 score involvements. 43% of the time, this guy generates a chance for Carlton. Fucking out. 2 goals, 2. J-Mart, come and see me after class. You get an apple. Jesse Motlop. People will forget about Motlop's game, but his second half was nothing so short of sublime. And when Cunningham came off, he went and played that role. And Jesse Motlop might have found a niche there. 3 tackles inside 50. No Fogarty there. Someone had to step up and be the implementer, and he was implementing that pressure. 4 inside 50s, 2 marks, 22 pressure acts. Again, putting the pressure on the game. 4 ground balls, 1 of them inside 50. 8 score involvements, 2 goal assists. 47.1% of the time, this guy created a shot at goal from his touches. Great work, 2 goals, 2. This guy here really found a niche, and we know that early doors, Voss liked to play him in that deep role. He's now been learning off the best, and that rotation can only make Carlton a little better of a side. Jesse is deadly, and his second half, absolutely sublime. Absolutely sublime. And then we come on to my boy, Ollie Hollands. Now, an understated game here, because a lot of people won't talk about him when you have 11 touches. And it's the understanding of the similarities between Blake Acres and Hollands. And Hollands, his defensive work is amazing. So 11 disposals, 4 kicks, effective kicks, and 200 metres gained. Doesn't get exciting, but 18.3 metres gained. Again, we're getting the ball forward. We're getting it to where it needs to be. 1 score launch. Again, getting it away from the shot, getting it into scoring opportunities. 2 score involvements. But these numbers here are the important ones. 4 marks, 31 pressure acts, the most for Carlton. 5 tackles, 14.6 Ks ran. Top 5 again in defensive work rate and attacking work rate, which is the indicator of how hard they're running in them transition periods. Insane. Insane. He won't get the kudos because people will look at 11 disposals. They'll look at incidentals that mean nothing to their role. This was an incredibly selfless role that required Carlton to be able to drop back quickly, get on the front foot quickly. And Ollie Hollands was constantly overlapping 2 lines, the wingers of the opposition and the half-backs, and then the wingers of the opposition and the half-forwards to be that wall of 9 that Voss likes in defence and that wall of 9 in attack. Ollie Hollands is one of the few players in the league that can do this with that elite running power, let alone this list. Absolute brilliant game. Brilliant game. I really enjoyed it. People are talking about him like Cade Simpson. I see Ed Kerno in the thankless role if Ed Kerno was ever a winger, which he wasn't. But that elite engine allows him to be both sets of the ball in one play. Incredibly selfless game, and loved it. And we finish off with Zaki F. Boy, oh boy, it's tough to find a way to get Chera and Walsh in. You kind of have to. But who you drop for it, it's hard because Fish, Chera, and Fish and Dow have literally been named on this show as some of the best players in the last 3 games. 9 contested possessions, 4 tackles. His defensive work and selflessness isn't stated enough. The 4 score launches, the 4 rebound 50s, the 2 inside 50s, the 1 clearance, the 12.5 metres gained. He played that provider role this week when he went to halfback. of just keeping the possession, which is incredibly hard to do. 13 pressure acts, 8 ground ball gets. Every time the ball spilled on the wing, him and Ollie Hollands were like frantic bulls getting the ball. 7 score involvements as well. He literally started them back half chains to the forward half chains nearly every time that he saw the ball. An absolute phenomenal performance from Zach Fisher. Again, setting Carlton up with the win. I hope you enjoyed the review. I've listened to your chat. You wanted me to get more players involved. I got a bit excited this one. So let me know some feedback if this is too long a video. I try and make content for you, not for me. So I'm happy to talk 2 weeks about Carlton, to be honest. But we'll try and keep it to this 25-minute mark. Look after yourselves. Please like and subscribe. And please consider being a member. Really helps the channel. We've got some exciting things planned in the off-season that do require some financials. So if there's a little bit of help along the way, as my nana used to say when she dropped her drawers and pissed in the sea, that would help. Look after yourself. Muchas gracias. See you Monday. Pom out.